My hands were trembling as I stared at the message on my phone. It was from him, my boss, Mr. Henderson. A single sentence that made my blood run cold. I know what your husband did. My husband, Mark, had made a terrible mistake. A desperate attempt to cover a business loss had led him down a path of embezzlement. We thought we had covered our tracks, that no one would ever know, but we were wrong. Mr. Henderson knew everything. The next day at work was torture. Every time he walked past my desk, I felt his eyes on me, a predatory glint in them that hadn't been there before. He called me into his office that afternoon. The air was thick with tension. He didn't waste any time. He laid out the evidence he had, a neat stack of papers that held our future in their black and white print. Prison time, financial ruin, public shame, it all flashed before my eyes. My children's faces swam in my vision. I would do anything to protect them, and he knew it. "There is a way out of this, Sarah," he said, his voice smooth as silk. He proposed a deal. One night with him, and the evidence would disappear. My stomach churned. It felt like a choice between two poisons. Betraying my husband to save him, sacrificing my own dignity to protect my family. The weight of it was crushing, but when I thought of my kids, of losing everything we had built, I knew I had no other choice. With a barely audible whisper, I agreed. The night was a blur of shame and regret. I felt disconnected from my own body, a ghost going through the motions. He had won. The next morning, I went home feeling hollowed out, a shell of the person I was. When I walked through the door, Mark was waiting for me. He knew where I had been. Mr. Henderson had made sure of it. He'd sent Mark a text message in the middle of the night, a cruel, taunting message detailing what was happening. That was his game all along. It wasn't just about the one night. It was about destroying us completely. The fight that followed was the worst of our lives. Accusations and tears filled our home, the very place I was trying to protect. Mark couldn't look at me without seeing my betrayal, and I couldn't look at him without feeling the weight of the sacrifice I'd made. Mr. Henderson hadn't just taken advantage of me. He had taken a sledgehammer to the foundation of my family. He had exploited my deepest fears and used them to shatter my marriage, my spirit, and my life. He hadn't just wanted a night. He wanted to ruin me, and in that he had succeeded in the worst way possible. In the days that followed, the silence in our house was deafening. Mark moved into the guest room. We were like two strangers living under the same roof, orbiting around our children but never truly connecting. The secret I had kept, the sacrifice I had made, had become a wall between us. I felt utterly alone, trapped in a prison of my own making. Mr. Henderson, meanwhile, acted as if nothing had happened. At work, he was the same charming, powerful boss. To me, he was a monster hiding in plain sight. One evening, I found Mark sitting in the dark, staring at a picture of our family. His shoulders were slumped in defeat. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm the one who put you in that position. It's my fault." Hearing him say it didn't absolve my guilt, but it cracked the wall between us. For the first time in weeks, we talked. Really talked. We talked about his mistake, my impossible choice, and the horrifying cruelty of Mr. Henderson. We decided we couldn't let him win. We couldn't let him destroy us. The next step was terrifying. We went to the police. We laid everything out on the table, Mark's embezzlement and Mr. Henderson's blackmail. It was a huge risk. Mark could still go to prison, but we were done with secrets. We were a team again, ready to face the consequences together. We also hired a lawyer who specialized in workplace harassment and extortion. She told us we had a strong case. Mr. Henderson had abused his power in the most heinous way. The legal battle was long and draining. Our story became public, and the shame was immense. But something unexpected happened. Support started pouring in. Other women who had worked for Mr. Henderson came forward with their own stories of harassment and intimidation. A pattern of abuse emerged, one that had been hidden for years behind his power and influence. My individual nightmare became a collective fight for justice. In the end, Mark received a reduced sentence with community service. Thanks to his full cooperation and the extenuating circumstances, the judge acknowledged the extreme duress we were under. And Mr. Henderson? He was fired. his reputation was ruined. He faced multiple lawsuits and a criminal investigation for extortion. He lost everything he had used to control and manipulate people. Rebuilding our lives wasn't easy. Trust is a fragile thing, and we had to work hard every day to mend what was broken. But we did it. We faced the ugliest truths about ourselves and our situation, and we chose to fight back, not just for us, but for everyone he had ever hurt. I learned that true strength isn't about avoiding mistakes, but about how you face the fallout. We lost a lot, but in the end, we saved the one thing that mattered most, our family. And we did it together. If you or someone you know is facing a situation involving coercion or abuse of power, please know there is help. Organizations like RAINN and the National Domestic Violence Hotline provide confidential support and resources. You are not alone, and help is available. Thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe for more content.